Thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. I am Thomas Metal75, and this is your Massachusetts Beer Review. I got a request, and I have his name up on my computer screen, from fellow YouTube user cs1992. He asked the following question: have you reviewed Narragansett Lager yet? Because you requested it, here is the beer. Narragansett Lager. Started, it says, since 1890, and I believe they started in Cranston, Rhode Island. And you can go to www.narragansettbeer.com for all the history and details on that corporation. But I believe if we fast forward to April of 2016, the Narragansett Brewing Company was coming, they got a brewery again in Rhode Island, in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which is right over the Massachusetts border. And most of the time they're brewing their stuff at the Narragansett Brewing Company in Rochester, New York. Well, that's where they brew Dundee and Honey Brown and the Genesee beers. That's what it says right there. So I don't know what kind of production they're going to do of those beers over there, but the base beer, the lager, is 5% alcohol by volume with 12 IBUs. They use 6-row malt and a secret blend of Pacific Northwest hops. Corn from Iowa, our lager strain, which has been the same since after Prohibition. The purest waters from Lake Ontario and Hemlock. And it does pretty good on Beer Advocate. I wanted to mention that. Usually I don't, but I wanted to mention it here because it gets an 88 by the Bros. And in the style of American Adjunct Lager, it is actually number 5 in the style. So thank you, cs1992, for reminding me to review such a classic beer. And every time you go to Rhode Island, because I'm right on the border of Rhode Island, practically, this is the house beer everywhere, and you can usually get one of these 16-ounce cans for like $2 or $3. And I think this was $6.96 for a 6-pack of the cans, of the tall cans, so that's pretty good. And their slogan is, if you're not drinking Narragansett, you're not from New England. Hi, neighbor. So what do we get from the Narragansett Lager? Is a typical adjunct lager, American-style beer look to it. It has the stark white head, has a clear golden appearance with this tiny amount of bubble streams coming up. It's pretty unfiltered. It's pretty filtered, I wanted to say. And there is popping and fizzing like you would expect. So let's dive right into the aroma of Narragansett Lager. And Narragansett Lager is a classic American beer smell. Wet grains, cereal grains, corn adjunct for sure. They say they're using corn from Iowa, so it mustn't just be syrup, corn syrup. There's a little bit of grass clippings, earthy, kind of a slightly spicy hop note. But I think more than anything, you're getting grains, cereal grains, and maybe white bread, and sweetness. But it's an American-style lager, middle down the road, and it's looking and its smell. So let's go right to the taste test. Cheers, cheers, CS1992. Thank you for the idea. Yeah, the adjunct of corn is definitely in the taste, but it's not slapping you around going, look at me, I'm using corn. It actually has a nice Pilsner malt in the background. It definitely has a grassy, earthy kind of a upfront flavor, and it does have a good kind of a pale maltiness. What do they say? At 12 IBUs is exactly right on the money. It's not hoppy at all. You get the green, earthy grass clippings, that kind of a sensation from it. Again, corn is there. There is some sweetness like an adjunct lager should have to it. Even a touch of lacing. But it just has a little bit more body. It's on the light side. Well, it's on the high side of light, I would say. Real easy to put this stuff down. I prefer it in a glass because, well, let me tell you. I think the carbonation is a little bit too aggressive, and that sweet corny flavor is sort of, not really sure why I think that, but it's a little more concentrated just from the can. But it's got a little bit more body to it than your standard adjunct lagers, and it's got a little bit more of a body and a malty richness to it. So it's on the high side of light, but I would say it's still a full-bodied beer. It's crisp. It's clean like it should be. It's refreshing as all hell. If you're in the New England type area, you're doing yourself a disservice for not even at least attempting to try this brew. So let me give you some thoughts and grades of this beer, and I'll give another sip to formulate my opinions. No charge. Not the best beer in the world, and certainly not the worst in the style. I can see why people like this, and I spilled a little bit. I can see why people like this beer as far as an American adjunct lager is concerned. I don't buy it all the time because I couldn't tell you why. I just don't buy it all the time. But I would definitely give this a high C+, bordering on an B-. So I would give it between that 79 and an 80 range. I think it's great for its style. And if you can get the Pabst, the Pabst stuff is pretty good too. But if you can get the Narragansett beer line things, I would try those because they're always doing, the craft beer people might call it pseudo-craft beers. And they're always doing a lot of those things. They do these H.P. Lovecraft beers. H.P. Lovecraft was a science fiction novelist and writer from Providence, and they do a lot of different themed beers around that particular writer in the pseudo-craft beer kind of styles, and they do a pretty good job. So, yeah, I mean, Narragansett's a pretty good company for a cheaper priced beer of New England origin. Definitely a regional beer to my neck of the woods in southern New England, Rhode Island, and if you can find it, it's a good example of the style. So, high C+, low B-. Again, I gotta give out shouts to cs1992 for the suggestion of reviewing this really nice American adjunct lager. So, until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. See you soon.